Belgorod region, Russia, near the Ukraine border. Pre-dawn 25th of October 2025. The sky is ink black. A reservoir holds the weight of thousands of tons of water. Then, a distant rumble, a flash, a crack along concrete. Welcome to infrastructure warfare at the threshold. The location of the strike was the dam on a local reservoir in the Belgorod Oblast region, just across from Ukraine's Kharkiv skyline. The regional governor, Vyacheslav Gladkov, reports damage following a strike by Ukrainian forces. Russia issues an evacuation alert for nearby settlements, Shebekino and Bezlyudovka. No official comment from Kyiv yet. This is the frontline meeting hydrology, engineering and military strategy. Why a dam? Because the reservoir holds enormous potential energy. When water is held behind a dam, every cubic meter exerts roughly 9.8 kilopascals of gravitational force per ton. Breach or serious structural damage, and you have both kinetic energy release and water surge downstream. In a warfare context, you're not just hitting walls and metal, you're targeting topology, geography, resource control. The attackers identified weak points in the dam, the foundation, heel, the spillway gates, the shell of the dam structure itself. If you can disable gate operation, you force uncontrolled flow. If you compromise the buttress, you risk structural collapse. The weapon chosen was likely an aerial drone or guided missile system launched from Ukrainian-held territory, propelled to the site at high speed. Drones approximately 200 to 300 kilometers per hour. Missiles, perhaps Mach 0.8 to 1.2. They would have flown at low altitude to evade radar, then made a terminal dive to strike the hull or gate mechanisms. The Russian border region defenses include radar sweeps, infrared sensors, short-range anti-aircraft systems, and manpads, not to mention engineered internal sensors in the dam, strain gauges, micro-crack detectors, water pressure and seepage monitors. As the attack unfolds, readings spike. 00 becomes 01, and the warhead hits. Imagine a shaped charge or high explosive warhead punching into the concrete or cutting the gate housing. A shockwave travels in the concrete at approximately 3 to 5 kilometers per second. Crack. Propagation at approximately 1.5 to 2 kilometers per second under high stress. Water pressure behind the dam begins to exploit microfractures. Immediately, the defenders respond. They activate emergency gates, divert the flow, shut off auxiliary valves, deploy cofferdams, mobilize crews in hazmat/structural suits. However, Ukraine's objective is multifold. 1. Degrade Russian border infrastructure. 2. Create psychological and logistical pressure inside Russian frontier zones. 3. Force diversion of Russian forces inward. Relieve pressure on Ukrainian front lines. Analysts observe that strikes across Belgorod are part of a broader escalation strategy. Russia's objective is to hold the line, maintain the dam, prevent flooding, retain buffer stability. If the dam fails, roads vanish, supply routes flood, villages downstream vanish. The dam wall is likely concrete gravity or rockfill type. Waterhead might be tens of meters. A partial failure releases energy in a torrent wave. Erosion of the toe begins, uplift pressure increases, internal piping may develop. The weapon doesn't need to collapse the whole dam, just initiate one failure mechanism. Once seepage begins under the dam, piping, you have internal erosion. Soil particles carried away create voids. Foundation weakens. On the radar of the defense teams, first the sensors show micro seepage, then crack width increases, then earthen foundations shift. Emergency spillway activated, but capacity limited. Each minute, the pressure behind the dam climbs. The defenders are racing hydraulic pumps, grout crews, inflatable barriers. Now escalate further. Suppose next wave. Reconnaissance drones watch the defense move, identifying vulnerabilities. Then precision munitions or drone swarms hit reinforcing structures or backup power lines that control gates, shutting them down. The result? The gate mechanism fails. Water surges uncontrolled. At that point, you transition from damage to near catastrophe. The climax. We're deep in the night. The dam creaks. Ladders of stress litters the concrete face. The reservoir's full weight looms. A collapse at this moment would unleash a wall of water, flooding roads, railway lines, supply depots downstream in seconds. Down-channel villages face evacuation. Russian emergency crews shout over radio, sirens, flood warnings on. The attacker achieves trajectory, target designation, and kinetic strike. The defender fights hydraulic failure, emergent remediation, evacuation protocols, but time is very short. But in this case, the dam doesn't fully collapse. Russian governor reports damage contained, but risk remains. Residents told to evacuate temporarily. Engineers begin inspection, stabilize foundation, pumps activated, water level lowered. The immediate threat is prevented, but the message is clear. The strategic implications is that a successful strike on a reservoir dam demonstrates a new dimension of warfare. Not just kinetic attrition of tanks or airfields, but the hydrological infrastructure that underpins terrain and logistics. Control of water flows, infrastructure integrity, border region resilience all become contested. Ukraine signals capability and intent to strike deep across the border. Russia signals vulnerability. Even large civil engineering assets are now at risk. Operationally, Russia must now re-evaluate border infrastructure defenses. More sensors, hardened gates, redundant spillways, increased drone defense, structural reinforcements of dams and reservoirs. Ukraine can divert some resources from frontline battles to targeting such bastions. The war footprint extends. Civilian infrastructure, water management, energy systems, everything is part of the battlefield. Technically, dams are seldom designed for war-grade assault. Most assume natural hazards, earthquake, flooding, not a precision drone or missile strike. This event forces a rethink. Design criteria may include blast loading, cyclic fatigue from explosions, simultaneous multi-point strikes. Retrofitting will cost billions. The attacker benefits from lower cost, a drone and warhead, versus the defender's entire engineered system. Policymakers will ask, when the water flows uncontrolled, who pays the cost? Displaced civilians, lost farmland, destroyed supply lines, increased refugee movement. The defender becomes distracted, resources diverted. And from the global view, control of water and infrastructure becomes strategic leverage. The battlefield is not only trenches, it's dams, conduits, hydrology. There is a steep human cost. The governor's warning to evacuate affected settlements is a stark reminder that civilians are directly exposed. Risk of flooding, damage to homes, loss of crops, disruption of supply. All turn this strike into more than military. It's a social and humanitarian ripple. In some sense, the war becomes whole of system. The strike on the Belgorod Dam is a defining moment. A moment where precision weapons, hydrology, and engineering converge in the theatre of war. The target was complex, but the effect is simple. Instill cost, increase risk, force reaction. This isn't just about control of land. It's control of resources, stability, infrastructure, future operations. When water becomes weaponized, the battlefield flows. Bye for now.